autoimmune, marami din ang plasma cells. Ano nga pala itsura ng plasma cell? Basic. Compared to neutrophils and lymphocytes. Paano ko masasabi ang mga plasma cells? Yan. Ano itsura ng plasma cell? Of course, neutrophils are polymorphonuclear. May mga lobes yan, di ba? Tatlo, minsan pagka-toxic na infection, multiple lobes pa yan. No? Hyperlobated neutrophil. Ang lymphocytes, may single nucleus, of course, na bilog, no? Small ring of cytoplasm. What about plasma cell? Single nucleus din siya, pero paano ko siya i-differentiate sa lymphocytes? Ano itsura? Ano yun? Cartwheel? Ano? Eccentrically located ang kanyang nucleus. So kung titignan nyo to, lalagyan ko ay, you see this, no? It's one plasma cell, eccentrically located in the nucleus niya, no? Yung iba, siguro may lymphocytes dyan, but there are a lot of plasma cell with nuclei pushed to the side, eccentrically located nuclei. That's plasma cell, no? So makikita nyo yan underneath the microscope. Okay. Okay, there are also certain medications and toxin induce liver injury. From time to time, we encounter this, no? Nakukwento ko dun sa ibang classes na I did an autopsy on a 25-year-old female. Okay, during my residency training, ano siya, parang nurse yata siya, no? She died, tapos hindi malaman the reason why, no? Tapos nung nag-autopsy, ang finding, there is massive liver necrosis. So, saan nanggaling yun? Hepatitis, negative, no? We didn't know, history-wise, walang point kung ano ang reason. But then, siguro a day after ng may kaibigan siya na nagsabi that she was taking diet pills. No, usong-uso during that time yung tinatawag na Bangkok pills. No, hindi pa kayo pinapanganak na uso yun. No? Na just to lose weight, they take that without proper consultation. And we don't know ano bang component. No? It turned out na baka-hepatotoxic siya. No? And she had an acute liver failure, massive necrosis of the liver, basically because of that. No? So there are certain medications that are known to be hepatotoxic. These are the predictable hepatotoxins. No? Okay, medication or substances like alcohol. No? We have unpredictable or idiosyncratic hepatotoxin. Hindi siya known hepatotoxic, pero for some reason, may mga pasyente na nagre-react doon. Certain anti-TB medication, hepatotoxic. Okay? So, monitor ang enzymes, liver enzymes, as well as the manifestations. Okay? So, paano nangyayari yon? Is either through direct toxicity, yung substance mismo ang sumisira sa liver cell, or when that substance is metabolized, no, the xenobiotics, the component niya, is converted to an active toxin that could affect the liver. Or, pwede rin yung immune reaction ng pasyente ang pwedeng mag-cause ng injury to the liver. Okay, so those are the different effects of this medications or toxins. I've mentioned about alcohol, which is associated with chronic liver disease, And acetaminophen is associated with acute liver failure. Okay? May mga cases na ng bata, tapos binigyan ng acetaminophen, nagkaroon ng acute liver failure. Okay. Next would be alcoholic liver disease. Common din ito sa setting natin, no? Dami kayong alcohol sa palibot. Okay? Iba-ibang klase, no? Kayo ba? Social drinker or one to sawan drinker? Pagka nagkaroon ng anong tawag dito? Yung frustration sa grades, no? Iba-iba ang ano natin, di ba? Iba-iba ang paano tayo mag-cope. Okay? Ako ba, nung estudyante ako, paano ako nag-cope? Yung mga kaibigan ko, after the exam, basta pagtatapos at the end of the prelim, midterm, or finals, right away, manood tayo ng movie. Yun ang namin, kakain kami, tapos manood ng movie, yung grupo ko. Tapos, ano pa ba? Ako naman, during medical school, pagdating ng Friday, di ba Saturday, Sunday, usually walang pasok. Pagdating ng Friday, yung nag-aaral niya, nanonood ako ng mga cartoons. Favorite ko yung mga yan, no? Medical student na ako. May cartoon ng Mutant Ninja Turtles noon, every Friday yun. Kung napanood nila yung, diba, animated na Mutant Ninja Turtles. Ako, cartoon talaga yun. Tapos Ghostbuster, meron din, sunod yan. Panonoodin ko yan. Friday night. Saturday morning, mga Disney, anong tawag dito, mga cartoons din, Cinderella, basta yung morning na yan, nanonood ako. Pagdating ng hapon, aral na yan. Saturday afternoon, Sunday, to church, tapos aral na uli yan. Hanggang sa Friday na uli. No? Diba? Walang I don't know kung, kasi hindi ako ganun ka-sharp sa memory. So I have to extend more time studying. No? I was good when I was younger sa elementary tsaka high school. Doing good. Madali lang ako hanggang sa first 2 years ng medtech. No? Okay ako. Pagpasok ko sa IM, kala ko magaling na ako. Pag mas marami palang mas magaling sa akin. No? Lahat sila. Tapos ang gagaling nila. Tapos yung iba, parang chill lang. Di ba? Parang, aral ba siya? Bakit laging mataas ang score niya? No? Parang hindi ko naman nakikita. Pero ang galing-galing niya. No? But for me, nasa middle ako ng batch. Pero ang hirap. Parang may times na nakaganyan ka lang. Di ba? Parang isang tadyak na lang, malalaglag ka na. I also experienced taking, what do you call this? Yung removal exams. No? Nag-remove ako ng pharma, pato, hindi. Surprisingly, hindi ako nag-remove ng pato. Pero may iba akong storya sa pato. Pag nag-lecture, hindi ako sa inyo. So yun, pharma, pecha. Ultimate talaga ang pecha nung third year. No? Kasi parang di ba parang pagka bumagsak ka, isang taon ako maghihintay, isang taon ako magdi-delay. So, hindi ako makakasabay sa grupo. Hindi ako makakapag-intern. So, third year ako yung third year na pecha. Tapos, initially, naka-post, buti nga ngayon, number na lang ang naka-post, data privacy. No? Dati nung pangalan namin, Jocelyn Quinto, failed. Pecha. Oops. Pero sabi ng pecha, you are free to come to our office to check on your paper. Hindi, parang may ray of pag-asa. So, punta ako, wala yung chief president. Sabi ko na, uulit na talaga ako. Kasi, bukas na yung, bukas na yung removal exam. Kung hindi ko siya makita, hindi ko ma-check, wala na yung chance ko. So, baba na ako, wala daw siya. Alis na. I waited for some time, pero wala siya. So, baba ako. Pag bukas ng elevator, andyan na siya. So, sabi niya, halika, sige, tingnan mo. And I saw 7 corrections. Ganun karami. Kasi manual pa nun ang checking nila Kami, naabot ko yun nung nagtuturo ako ng pato. Manual yung checking, hindi stress canton. So I saw 7 correction, which turned out to be, sumampa siya sa removal. So the following day, I took the removals. Tapos, natuwa ako kasi parang inulit yung finals. Sabi ko, first time daw sa history ng PEDSA yun, na inulit yung finals. So very fresh siya sa memory ko. Confident in the sense na siguro ipapasa ko na to. Pero hanggat hindi ko nakikita yung proof na pasado ako, syempre nasa akin, uulitin ko siya. No? So, nirelease ang result ng exam on the first day of clerkship, internship. So, punta ko, yung mga kaklase ko, mga kabatch ko, nasa Alfonso Hall na ako. Conference room. Hindi dito kasi Moraita pa kami, di ba? Meron dong conference room, small conference room sa Moraita Hospital, wherein the orientation of interns was being conducted. No? So, andun na sila, mga aga excited kasi orientation. So, kompleto na sila. Ako, nagpunta ako ng PEDSA para kuhanin yung result. So, when I got it turned out I passed. So, hindi ako madidelay. So, ako yung pinakalas na pumasok doon sa conference room. Parang dito kasi sa conference room natin, di ba pag pumasok ka, kita ka. Pero doon, sa likod ang entry. Pasok kong ganyan, lingunan yung mga, kasi hinihintay nila ako kung pasado ako. Lingunan yung mga kaklase ko. Tapos nung makita nila ako, sigawan sila, pumasa na si Joyce! So, nagulat yung buong batch namin na nag-instant sikat tuloy ako. Nakilala ako kilala ako kasi yung grupo namin, do you know Dr. Cherry Baez? Rosario Paharin Baez. Ruma siya sa IM. Hindi ko alam kung ma-under kayo sa kanya sa third year. Matatangkad yung mga kaibigan ko. Ako yung pinakamaliit. Yung isa kong kaibigan, 5'9", isa 5'8", 5'7", 5'6", ako 5'4". So they call us, meron kasing basketball team during the time ng parents namin, Crispa. Yung mga Crispa team. Toyota and Crispa, yun yung sikat na basketball team before, nung bata ako. Yung teacher namin sa Parma, si Dr. Hapakon, Crispa ang tawag sa amin, Crispa team, kasi matatangkad pag naglalakad sa IM, no? Matatangkad kami na sama-sama. So, Crispa team. So, yun yung nung pumasok na ako doon. Tapos, on that particular day, first day, sa OV ang rotation, I didn't care kung ako ay mag-duty on the first day nung wala akong kadala-dala. wala akong uniform, wala akong pamalit, pero talagang sobra yung excitement that I passed the removal exam and hindi ako madidelay sa graduation. Kasama ko pa rin yung mga kaibigan ko. So that was something that I really thank God for. No? So, going back to alcoholic liver disease, ang tanong ko, karamihan sa inyo na experience ng malasing, tama? Yes. Diba? Yun naman ang usual no? Ako, hindi. Never ko pang na-experience malasing. Yung feeling lang, no? Tipsy, pero hindi ko pa naranasan yun. I don't know if this is characteristic of me, that I don't want to put myself in a very vulnerable state na hindi ko kayang ipagtanggol yung sarili ko. So, I want you to put that on yourself also. No? Know your limits. Hanggang saan. We've heard stories, right? May story din ako sa anak ko. Yung firstborn ko, she's 24. She's gonna be 25. Medtech siya. Registered medtech. Ayaw naman medicine. Ang sama ng experience niya sa sa MPU. Hirap na hirap siya. Hindi talaga siya pang medical, no? She's more into the arts. So sabi niya, Mami, papasa ko lang yung board exam naman. She passed one take. Na-delay din siya ng 1 year, no? Sa medtech. At ang nagpa-delay sa kanya, histopad, yung subject ko, no? So, at least alam nila anak na hindi nila, hindi natin na minamanang pili ng grades mo dyan. Totoong grade mo yan. So, umulit siya ng histopad. So, yun. There was a time, nung first year medtech student siya, na, kasi achiever din siya during her high school years, no? Tsaka sa elementary. Pagdating sa IM, parang ako, nahirapan ako sa medical course, no? Na-frustrate siya sa isang first prelim exam pa lang ito, chemistry yata. Parang bumagsak yata siya sa exam. So, supposedly, manonood lang sila tsaka kakain ng mga kaibigan niya. But one friend of hers na kaklase pa niya nung elementary, na kaibigan din namin ng parents, in-invite siya para umattend ng isang birthday party. It happened na nalasing din. Diyan sa may Fair Lane ba yun? Di ba may kailan? Diyan. Tambayan ng mga medical student. Tapos, nalasing siya. Tapos, buti nilang kasama niya yung kaibigan niya. Sabi niya, tita, tinawagan ako, tita, si Paula, lasing na. So, initially, yung husband mo, nagalit. Ganun. Ano siya, parang ako ba yung naglasing? So, tahimik na ako. Pagdating namin, ano siya, hawak namin siya. Tapos pagkakita sa amin, sabi niya, Mami, Daddy, sorry siya ng sorry. From that area hanggang sa bahay, sorry siya ng sorry. Sabi niya, frustrated ako. Sabi niya, sorry, dahil nalasing ako. Nahimik na yung asawa ko. Parang naawa din siya. Ako din, awang-awa sa kanya. So pagdating sa bahay, pinaliguan ko siya. Ako yung nagpalig. Kasi lamong-lamong talaga siya eh. No? So pinaliguan ko. Tapos nung nasa labas na kami, pinapat-dry ko siya. Tapos bigla siya nagsalita na naman. Nagre-recite ng mga chemical formula. Kaya sabi ko gano'n, totoo nga. Nag-frustrated siya doon sa may mga sinasabi siya eh, mga carbo, mga halna. Sabi ko gano'n talaga nag-frustrate. Tapos nung pinakwento ko sa kanya, tawag din naman siya. So I told her, buti na lang, kasama mo yung kaibigan mo. Lalaki yung kaibigan niya eh. Tapos friend namin yung parents. Pero, of course, he can hold his alcohol, no? Mas, siya, nag-restrict. Tapos sinabihan ko siya na, never put yourself in a situation na hindi mo kayang i-depensa ang sarili mo. At least kung makakalaban ka, paano kung hindi maayos yung mga kasama mo. We've heard stories na, diba, meron yung stewardess ba yun? Namatay, something. Gano'n ang So, never put yourself in a very vulnerable state that you lose the chance of defending yourself. So that's also my advice to you. We can be frustrated at times, but never lose that particular thing that you have to take care of yourself. And you can advise your patients, your children later on. This. Aside from alcoholic liver disease, which is an effect of that, there are 3 changes that could happen in alcoholic liver injury. Meron tayong fatty change, known as steatosis, as we have mentioned. Merong alcoholic hepatitis, and we have steatofibrosis. So this is a diagram showing us the normal liver with exposure to alcohol chronically, acutely, but most of the time chronic. There's going to be fatty change or hepatitis. Pwedeng from fatty change leads to hepatitis, or at times hepatitis can lead to steatosis. But both of them, with continuous exposure, Okay, repeated bouts of hepatitis can lead to cirrhosis. And that's the, wala siyang going back. No? Kasi nagkaroon na ng extensive fibrosis in the liver. That's gonna be hard to regress. So, cirrhotic na yung liver niya. Okay, so, microscopically, this is what we see. Kung steatosis lang, walang fibrosis, fatty change. You get to see the fat vacuoles. Pag nag-burst yung mga yan, nag-combine, you call it fat cyst. No? This is a special stain accentuating the presence of fibrosis. No? The blue stain there are fibrous area. So this is steatofibrosis. Then we have formation of Mallory deck bodies like this, which can be seen in alcoholism, and then swelling of the hepatocytes, of course, bigger hepatocytes, as well as infiltration of inflammatory cells. Mentioned here, neutrophils, no, can be observed here. This is another one showing us the same thing. So grossly, I've already mentioned na initially pwede siyang macronodular cirrhosis, and then later on nagiging micronodular cirrhosis, more extensive fibrosis is happening. Microscopically, this is what we see. Yung pink or reddish pink areas, those are the regenerating hepatocytes, surrounded by the blue areas, which are the fibrosis. No? It's kaya parang umuumbok siya kasi nasa surround siya ng fibrosis, tapos nagre-regenerate yung hepatocyte. So grossly, makikita natin yung nodular lesions on the surface of the hepatocytes, or the liver rather. So how does this happen? Pag may daily intake, walang palya, no? 80 gram alcohol, there is a risk for severe hepatic injury. Okay. Commonly, ang effects sa females, and there's also ethnic and genetic differences kasi yung enzyme, particularly sa Chinese descent, di ba? May enzyme that decrease or lacking to metabolize alcohol, and there are other comorbid conditions like iron overload and infection. So, what are the effects of alcohol? It affects the lipid metabolism. That's why you get to see fatty change. No? There is an increased export of lipoproteins. Ayun, fatty change siya. And then there's also an injury that is caused by reactive oxygen species, ROS. Metabolic liver diseases, we have some. No? We have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Ito, it is said to be associated as well with hepatocellular carcinoma kahit walang significant scarring. Di ba yung sa alcoholic liver disease, nag-i-start talaga siya on process cirrhosis. No? Dito, kahit na walang significant scarring, it can be associated with hepatocellular carcinoma. So, hepatitis B, chronic alcoholism, as well as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease are associated with hepatocellular carcinoma. So, we have here pathways of non-alcoholic liver disease. So, most of them are isolated fatty liver. Okay. Pwedeng iba, nag-undergo ng non-alcoholic steatohepatitis or NASH. So, yung iba, nagkakaroon ng cirrhosis leading to decompensation or hepatocellular carcinoma. Pero meron din, kahit hindi nagsisirrhosis as we have mentioned, can have hepatocellular carcinoma. These are the other metabolic diseases that are associated with liver problem, no? Hemochromatosis, Wilson disease, alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. So what do we see underneath the microscope? Similar lang siya, no? We have the fatty change, and then you can also see some form of fibrosis in some kind of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Then we have cholestatic or cholestatic disease. Let's look at the function of bile. It is needed for emulsification of dietary fat, elimination of bilirubin, excess cholesterol, mga xenobiotics, and other waste products. So, yung jaundice will result from either overproduction of bilirubin, presence of hepatitis, or merong obstruction sa bile flow. So, ang patient natin magmamanifest with jaundice. Okay, so, ang bilirubin metabolism and elimination, di ba? Red blood cells will be degraded, heme, there's gonna be degradation of the heme, and with the help of oxygenase, magpo-form ng biliverdin, yung you have the unconjugated and conjugated, no? Conjugation of course happens in the liver, no? Yung bilirubin, nagpo-form ng complex with albumin, with the help of enzymes, no? So sabi natin, conjugation happens in the liver, the conjugation magpo-form ng urobilinogen, which can be converted in the intestine, ma-excrete siya through the feces and the urine. No? So basically, yun yung pathway ng metabolism ng bilirubin. So we have unconjugated bilirubin. It is insoluble in water. Okay? It is in complex with albumin, and it cannot be excreted in the urine. Yung unbound, no, kasi hindi siya ma-excrete sa urine, will diffuse to tissues, leading to toxic injury of the tissue. Basically, this is the one that is happening in yung hemolytic disease of the newborn, wherein there is increased turnover of red blood cells. Tataas talaga ang bilirubin natin, unconjugated bilirubin, and it can pass through the blood-brain barrier, affecting the neural tissues, leading to kernicterus. No? So, yan. We have conjugated bilirubin, which is water-soluble. It is not toxic, non-toxin, loosely bound to albumin, and the excess of which is excreted in urine. Okay. Magta-touch na rin ako ng albumin. Pre-view to sa renal pathology. Okay. Albumin is a very big protein, right? And it cannot pass through the glomerular basement membrane. Tatandaan nyo yan. Ang albumin does not pass through the glomerular basement membrane unless there is a disease process. Yung nephrotic syndrome na tinatawag natin, na naapektuhan yung basement membrane, making it, having a loose, area na nagkakaroon ng space that will allow the passage of albumin. No? Pwede yun. That would lead to losing albumin. Pag mababang albumin, anong nangyayari sa... Ano para sa ang albumin when it comes to the circulatory aspect? Anong pressure ang kanyang taken care of? Oncotic pressure. No? It holds the fluid inside the vascular channel. Pag mababa ang albumin, kasi pinapass out niya sa urine in glomerular diseases or other problems, anong nangyayari? There's going to be seeping out of the fluid into the interstitial space, leading to edema infection. Kung severe yan, pwedeng anasal ka. No? So gusto kong matandaan nyo yan, para pag nagbabasa kayo ng mga you're studying your CPC, you can correlate things. Bakit may edema ang pasyente? May glomerular disease, bakit may edema? It's not enough for you to know na ito, paano kung nadapa ka, nakalimutan mo. Pero if you know the process, the pathology that is happening, kahit na madapa-dapa ka na, huwag lang sobrang nauntog ka, kalimut talaga, no? You can still explain bakit may edema ang pasyente ko, no? Bakit ganito? Because you know what is happening. Okay, so for this one, going back, ang bilirubin, conjugated bilirubin, hindi yan nakadikit sa albumin. Pero yung unconjugated, that's the one that it needs to be attached to the albumin. So it's important na ina ang albumin din ng pasyente. No? We have a condition known as cholestasis. This is due to impaired bile formation and bile flow. There is accumulation of bile pigment in the hepatic parenchyma. Yun yung sinasabi ko nakikita namin underneath the microscope, ano yung mga pigments na nakikita. Hindi ito formalin pigments kasi pwede rin may we should be segregating the formalin pigments that is created during the process of fixation of tissue. Ito mga green, brown pigments that would indicate that it is bile. This is due to extra or intrahepatic obstruction or a defect in bile secretion. Okay, there are other types, cholestasis of sepsis, primary hepatolithiasis, pwede pa lang karoon ng stone formation sa liver, no? Neonatal cholestasis. Then we have autoimmune cholangiopathies. There are two types, primary biliary cirrhosis and primary sclerosing cholangitis. Ang PBC is a non-suppurative inflammation, no? Destruction of small and medium-sized intrahepatic bile ducts. Meron din silang anti-mitochondrial antibodies, no? Ang PSC, there is inflammation and obliterative fibrosis of intrahepatic and extrahepatic ducts with dilatation of the preserved segment. So pag nag-fibrose ang certain portion ng duct, nahirapang dumaan syempre yung bile dyan. So anong nangyayari? Yung proximal area unaffected, nagdadilate. Parang Hirschsprung's disease, no? Do you know what Hirschsprung's disease is? Toxic megacolon. Di ba ang problema doon? Merong defect ang ganglion cells. This is in the colon, no? Yung part na defective yung ganglion cell, makipot yun, no? So yung proximal part, hindi makadaan ng feces, nagiging stagnant po sa proximal part. Nagkakaroon ng dilatation. The same thing goes through here. Ito naman fibrosis ang nangyayari. So, hindi totally makadaan freely, no? Kaya nagkakaroon ng dilatation. Okay? Then, there are also structural anomalies of the biliary tree, whether in the form of polydocalcis, fibromycocystic disease, circulatory disorders, no? Can be in the form of impaired inflow, papasok sa liver, no? Portal vein obstruction. Pwede rin within the liver, there is impairment, no? Or palabas sa liver, hepatic outflow obstruction, and with the corresponding manifestation. May mga similar manifestation among this. So you just go through this. Ito yung common pre-terminal condition. Ito yung sinasabi ko na pagka sa mga autopsy findings, common na makikita nyo ito na may passive congestion sa liver. Kasi it's a pre-terminal thing na nagkaroon na ng hypoxia, no? Or deranged blood flow into the liver. This is the reaction of the liver. Nagkakaroon ng passive congestion and centrilocular necrosis. Also, yeah. They call it nutmeg liver, cardiac sclerosis, because a lot of times it is associated with congestive heart failure. So grossly, nutmeg liver, and microscopically, sabi natin, yung mga malapit sa central vein are the first one to react or have changes of necrosis. Kasi sila yung least perfused area. Like this one. May necrosis, no, in that particular area. Regarding organ stem cell transplant, may complications. Dalawa. It's either a graft versus host disease or a liver graft rejection. Pag graft versus host disease, no, very competent yung graft tissue, yung tissue that is transplanted. At sinisira niya ang host cell, yung recipient cell, no? So that is what you call graft versus host disease. The second one is liver graft rejection. It is the body of the patient who received the transplanted organ that attacks the transplanted tissue. So that's the liver graft rejection. Then we have pregnancy-associated hepatic diseases, no? So sa mga gusto mag-OB dyan o community medicine, you will be encountering patients, na pregnant patients na pwedeng may condition na pre-eclampsia, no? So pagka consult ang mommy on the first consult, you always do the basic laboratory examination, no? You have CBC, urinalysis, as well as ABO-RH typing. Preferably kasama ang father, no? Kasi gusto naman nating iwasan yung hemolytic disease of the newborn secondary to RH. Lalo na pag RH negative ang nanay, no? Tapos, every visit, of course, you have to do checking of the blood pressure, okay? Physical examination. So, if you get to see this, may maternal hypertension, merong protein sa urine, proteinuria, there is peripheral edema, kasi nag-lose siya ng protein. There is coagulation abnormalities, no? CTBT is the range. Merong health syndrome, may hemorrhage, elevated ang liver enzyme, and low ang platelets. Baka ang pasyente mo nagkakaroon ng preeclampsia. This would mandate admission of the patient, control of the BP. They give intravenous medication to control that and then observe the patient because they want to prevent this from happening. Yung eclampsia. Merong pre-eclampsia symptoms with hyperlipidemia and convulsion. And this is a life-threatening condition. No? So, ina-admit sila, pre-eclamptic pa lang, tapos, binibigyan ng medication. Until such time na mga anak sila. Kasi, it can lead to a liver problem, massive necrosis, hemorrhage in the liver that would risk the life of the mother as well as on the baby. Okay? Others, sa pregnancy, may acute fatty liver pregnancy and then intrahepatic cholestasis. Looking into the new nodules and tumors in the liver, may iba-ibang lesions din. Nodular hyperplasia, may benign, which is hepatocellular adenoma, then malignant, hepatoblastoma sa younger age group, hepatocellular carcinoma, which is the most common primary liver malignancy. No? And the second most common is cholangiocarcinoma. Okay? Pero pag ang tanong sa inyo, diba, sa question sa exam, what is the most common, parang recall lang, no? What is the most common malignancy in the liver? Hindi ito. No? The most common malignancy in the liver are metastatic malignancies coming from other organs. Pero pag may qualifier na sinabi niya, what is the most common primary, no, malignancy in the liver? It is hepatocellular carcinoma. Pag may further qualifier, the common malignant tumor in the liver in younger age group, hepatoblastoma. Okay? So, this one is a gross picture of nodular hyperplasia. But again, as pathologists, we don't make a diagnosis based on the gross feature only. We have to see the microscopic examination. So, eto, makikita niyo, punong-puno siya ng liver cells. Hindi na yung usual na hepatic lobule na merong cords ng hepatocytes. Now, this filled up talaga siya. So this is nodular hyperplasia. This is a benign hemangioma, no? A lot of vascular channels in the liver. I had one case 2 years ago, 15 or 16-year-old male patient na diagnosed ko ng hemangioma sa liver biopsy. Unfortunately, the patient succumbed because of massive involvement of the liver. Benign lang siya, hindi siya mukhang malignant, pero halos buong liver niya napuno ng vascular channels. And that compromised the what do you call this? The function of the liver, leading to the demise of the patient. So, yeah. Adenoma, merong nodular lesion, and microscopically, we see something like this. Okay. Benign naman ang liver. It's outside the, pag kinumpare mo siya sa yung uninvolved liver cells, pareho sila ng itsura, benign looking. Hepatoblastoma, of course, you have bigger tumor cells here. It is common in early childhood. Hepatocellular carcinoma, or otherwise known as hepatoma. This is, again, as I mentioned, most common primary malignant tumor. It is associated with a lot of things like hepatitis B, hepatitis C, chronic alcoholism, and in addition, we have exposure to aflatoxin, no? Coming from peanuts. Okay. Chronic liver disease is the most common setting of HCC, or hepatocellular carcinoma. So we have here an example of a nodule, and on microscopic description, it shows us yung malignancy, no? Kita niyo yung parang glandular pattern siya. Di ba pagka normal liver, siya, liver cords ang makikita niyo. Pag nag-glandular, or some of them, or most of them, they have a solid pattern, no? They have all the characteristic of malignant cells. Ano ba yung tinitignan natin? Pato A ulit. Paano nyo masasabing malignant yung cell? Just by looking at the cytology. Ano yung mga important character? Of course, the definite characteristic of malignancy is the presence of invasion nga, di ba? Pag nag-invade siya, malignant yan. Pag nag-metastasize, malignant yan. Pero kung tinitignan ko lang yung cell, may mga clues ako for me to say that this is a malignant cell. Kung cytology, hindi ko naman nakikita yung relationship ng individual cell with the surrounding mesenchymal tissue. No? So how would I say na these are malignant? You have, tignan natin yung cell. Ano nangyayari sa nucleus? Lumalaki. Diba? Tignan nyo, increase nucleocytoplasmic ratio. Usually hanggang 1:3 lang ang ratio niya. Pero pag nag 1:4 or more, no, malaki masyadong nucleus, think of malignancy. Ano pa? And increased NC ratio, hyperchromatic nuclei. Ano ibig sabihin ng hyperchromatic? Mas blue ang stain. It has taken up a lot of the hematoxylin stain kasi napakaraming protein dyan, maraming DNA material. No? Ano pa? Presence of abnormal mitosis. Ano ngayon ang abnormal mitosis as compared to normal? Di ba may mitosis naman tayo? Abnormal mitosis, ano yung itsura? Gutom na. Hindi pa nag-aarapos. Pareho lang tayo. Ang normal mitosis usually bipolar. Diba? Isang ganun. Pero kung active yung cell, pwede siyang tripolar. No? O quadripolar, abnormal na yan. Or sunburst pattern. No? Yun yung mga abnormal mitotic figures. Okay? So, yun yung mga clues natin that a cell is malignant. Okay. So, hepatocellular carcinoma, may dalawang klase. We have, based on the size, the large cell change and the small cell change. Yung nasa taas is the large cell change. Yung nasa baba is the small cell change. Sa large cell, pareho naman sila increased NC ratio, pero mas malaki lang talaga ang cells mo. Mas pleomorphic, no? And that. Tapos, based on yung dami ng nodule or lesion, it can be a unifocal, no? Nung estudyante ako, laging sinasabi ng mga teacher, mga professor na pag ang tumor is single, it's big and single in a particular organ, most probably it is a primary tumor in that organ. Unifocal, isa lang. Pag multiple, naka-metastatic. Most of the time, it's metastatic. But for the liver, pwede rin magkaroon ng multifocal. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang isa, pero several nodules in the liver. Just like the one that we did a biopsy yesterday. May dalawa siyang nodular lesion. So, titignan ko pa kung talagang may malignancy na doon. No? Or is it just because there is already cirrhosis that is ongoing? So, diffusely infiltrative, pag large portion of the liver is affected. Okay. Bakit nagkakaroon ng multifocality and diffuse infiltration? Kasi pwede siyang magkaroon ng intrahepatic metastasis, no? It can be through vascular channels. Malaki ang liver eh. Pwedeng nandun siya sa isang side, tapos biglang may nodules sa on another side, pero primary hepatocellular pa rin siya kasi nagdaan siya through the blood vessel. Or, pwedeng direct extension. So the clinical manifestation is not characteristic. Most of the time, parang radiographic examination, incidental finding, may nodule, no? Tapos iba biopsy. Tapos magre-request na ng alpha-fetoprotein, which is most of the time elevated, no? Significantly elevated, increase ang alpha protein. Hindi pa kayo tapos ng ano, no? Ng lower urinary tract, tsaka ano, yung male reproductive, no? Kasi merong mga germinal, what do you call it? Germ cell tumor in the testes na increase ang alpha-fetoprotein. But with liver carcinoma, you would see a lot of patients having increased alpha-fetoprotein. Of course, the imaging studies, CT scan, MRI, or even ultrasound, can show us presence of nodules. And the death of patients with hepatocellular carcinoma is secondary to cachexia, parang severely malnourished sila. Or it can be to a ruptured gastroesophageal or GI or esophageal bleeding, leading to hypovolemia in patient. Liver failure, tapos rupture of tumor, pwede yan. We had one case of autopsy with ruptured, no, liver carcinoma. Then we have cholangiocarcinoma, most common, second most common primary malignant tumor is a biliary tree malignancy. Hindi liver cells ang involved dito, mga bile ducts, no? Pwedeng inside the liver or outside. Pag it's outside the liver, you call it flat skin tumor. Okay. You have a slide in the laboratory. You will see, parang from afar, parang ang liliit naman ng glands, no? Tapos, if you look closely, they have the characteristic of malignancy. Ang isa pang feature dito is the presence of desmoplasia. You remember desmoplasia? Na pagka malignant tumor, nagkakaroon ng desmoplastic changes sa surrounding stromal tissue. So that is a characteristic of cholangiocarcinoma. There can be a combined hepatocholangiocarcinoma, pwede rin vascular malignant tumor in the form of angiosarcoma. And as I mentioned, the more common or the most common malignancy in the liver are metastatic neoplasia. Okay, so this is just a table showing us yung differences or commonality between hepatocellular carcinoma and cholangiocarcinoma. Okay. Then we have the gallbladder. Tapos na tayo. In the gallbladder, we have a lot of conditions that can be seen. Pero commonly, ito, ang bread and butter ng surgeon. Dati nung intern ako, marami kaming appendicitis. Naubos na yung appendix. No? Ngayon, gallbladder naman. Hindi. Meaning, meron pa rin mga appendectomy, marami pa rin appendectomy. But chronic cholecystitis or acute cholecystitis is on the rise. Kasi siguro sa ano din natin, sa lifestyle, no? Diet. We form stones that would cause inflammatory process on the wall of the gallbladder. I encountered several incidental finding of adenocarcinoma in the gallbladder as well. So we have here certain people who have a lot of stones, like this one, cholesterol stones, no? Dami, may case ako ganyan. Yung iba, pigment stones. Yung iba, meron lang excrescences in the form of cholesterolosis, yung mga flecks na nasa wall ng gallbladder. And pag nakita mo, mga lipid-laden macrophages ang present. I was operated on with chronic cholecystitis, laparoscopy laparoscopic cholecystectomy was done to me, ang na-recover ng 3 gallbladder stone. No, hindi siya malalaki kasi pag maliliit, yun yung problem na pwede mag-obstruct. So, may acute manifestation. Although, ang manifestation ko no, for quite some time, nagkakaroon ako ng feeling of fullness. Pag kumakain ako, I feel full. No? Kasi siguro nag-obstruct siya, tapos hindi nakaka-release ng enough amount of bile. No? Remember, bile is important in the metabolism of the dietary food that we have. No? So yun yung feeling ko. Tapos eventually, parang 24 hours na, mayroong nagging pain. Parang gabi. Tapos nung gabi na, sabi ko gano'n, I think it will not go away. I'm thinking of a stone, a gallbladder stone that has obstructed. And true enough, when they did an ultrasound, meron yan. So I was subjected to laparoscopic cholecystectomy. So hindi ako pwedeng sa damakmak na kain, no? Na minsan nakakalimutan ko. So there are times that I feel really full, hindi makakope yung liver ko sa pag-release ng bile. So kailangan ko mag-take ng tea, no? Just to help me relieve of the feeling of fullness. So unti-unti na kain, makain pa rin. Okay, so these are the 3 things that you need to have to make a diagnosis of chronic cholecystitis. No? Presence of fibrosis, Rokitansky-Ashcroft sinuses, no? And inflammatory cell. Chronic lymphocytes. Pag merong acute component, you see neutrophils. No? Naalala ko dito, nung first year resident ako, siguro mga 2 weeks pa lang ako. Hindi ko maalala ang pathology ko. Naalala ko lang sa pathology is Burton cell, microscopically. So, nung pinakita naman ng consultant, ang kinopos niya yung Rokitansky-Ashcroft sinus. No? Nakaano kasi yun naka-embed siya sa muscle. No? So, kung iisipin mo, if you are thinking it's malignant na nag-i-invade sa ibang organs, pag naka-invade, like in colon, pag nakakita ka ng gland na naka-infiltrate sa muscle na yun, malignant yun. No? But in the gallbladder, that's not the case kasi meron tayong RA sinus or Rokitansky-Ashcroft sinus. And if you look at the individual cells, benign lugan naman siya. No? Pero hindi ko na maalala yun. So nung tinanong ako nung pinaka-matandang consultant namin, what do you think, Joyce? Ano to? First lang, is it benign or malignant? Wala akong parang nabura sa akin ang pathology. Sabi ko na, parang wild guess. Benign sa very good. Sabi ko na, not very good. Hindi talaga siya very good kasi hindi ko naman alam kung bakit ako nagsabi mo. And then, nung binabasa ko na siya, bumalik na sa memory ko na, eto yun, no? You have Rokitansky-Ashcroft sinus. Kasi ang nasa isip niya, pag nakita ko nag-i-invade sa muscle, malignant na yun. But it is the gallbladder, no? You have those glands, kasi out-pouching siya ng epithelium. May epithelial lining, no? Columnar yan. Pag nagkaroon ng cholecystitis, magbababa siya. Tapos pag pinakat namin yan, may makikita ka, parang gland siya nasa loob ng muscle. So, parang pagka, hindi mo tinitignan yung individual characteristics of the cell, you will think that this is malignant. No? It looks like invasion. Pero pag tinignan mo yung cells, benign looking sila. So this is Rokitansky-Ashcroft sinus. So these are the 3 criteria for us to make a diagnosis of chronic cholecystitis. Gallbladder carcinoma. No? I've seen 3 cases of this. Incidental lang siya. Inoperahan sila because of gallbladder stone. No? But then, I saw a portion near the cystic duct, somewhere in the mucosa, merong nakaumbok na mass like very small. And this looks like this. yan pa lang, malignant talagang itsura niya. No? You can see the pleomorphism of the cell. You can see the hyperchromaticity of the nuclei. No? There is, if you look closely, you can see abnormal mitosis, no? Hyperchromatic ang mga nuclei. There is already invasion kasi nagdidikit-dikit na yung mga glands. No? Wala nang delineating point from one gland with another. That is a form of invasion. So this is malignant. So we label it as gallbladder carcinoma. Okay? So that's it. Question? Yeah. Okay, so we still have time. And you can take your breakfast. Okay, exam kayo. Kaya pala mahilig kayo. Sige, thank you.
Thank you, Doc.